I came here to heal, I came here to grow. Lesson in love, they helped me let go. I chose this path, I chose this time. Everything I need, I hold inside. I came here to heal, I came here to grow. Lesson in love, they helped me let go. I chose this path, I chose this time. Everything I need, I hold inside. Welcome and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Me, the Art of Starting Again with Tisha Michelle, your host, and that would be me. Hey guys. All right, so this is one of these episodes where I'm having a conversation and it sparks. I'm like, I got to record a podcast, so I just like stop, everything, and I'm sitting in the car and I'm talking to you guys. All right, so I was having a conversation, and my friend was telling me about how a little kid on the sports team, I'm going to say they're like 5 or 6, how he doesn't want to play the sport and he's only doing it. I mean, he's 6. He got to listen to his parents. His father's making him do it, but he's not participating. He just doesn't want to do it. And his dad is like making him do it. And I was like, man, that sucks. And I was like, I'm just really glad that that's something that I did not do. And I really just encouraged and supported my kids in what it is that they wanted to do. And then I was just saying, I was like, you just learn like so much. And I was like my son, my oldest son, I said, he played baseball. He played baseball for years and years and years. And they was killing it. And I was definitely an athlete's mom. I was the one standing on the car and jumping up and down and getting hype. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was definitely me. Always has been. And then one day we played and we was killing it. They was winning, and it was all type of stuff, having a great time. And then we played this one team and they kicked our asses. Yo, I swear they were doing like hand signals and had codes and all types. Like, yo, who are y'all? Like, y'all are kids, and they were so organized, and they beat the brakes off of us, humbled the shit out of everybody, and the kids did not know what to do with that. They never experienced the loss like at all. And I remember the coach saying he's actually glad that happened. He said because that loss is actually teaching and preparing them in life when things don't go the way that it's always been going. What do? Do you give up? Do you just let it go? Do you pivot? Or do you be like, so what did go a different way? How could I have what could I have done different? How could I have been a better, version? What do I need to do to become a better version of myself? Or are you just going off of what everything how it used to be, and then you get into this position and you're like, "What? I'm done. I quit. I'm out." How many of you have taken yourself out of the game before the game could actually like take you out per se, where you're just like, oh, I'm never going to experience that again. Nope. Won't do that no more. Versus like, well, who do I need to become? What am I learning in this process? Right. And then I remember my son was he played, so like I said, he played baseball for a lot of years, and then he said he wanted to play football. Now I was scared for him to play football, and my mother was definitely scared for him to play football, but we wasn't putting that on him. It's like, okay, let's just support. What do we need to do? Obviously, as a parent, you got to sign them up and you got to pay for this and you got to do all that. Okay, cool. So he's doing his thing, and he's in, high school. He's in high school now playing, but the school that he was going to, they just like to run the ball. He's a wide receiver, and he also played defense. So he wasn't able to really do much because they were always running the ball. So he was like, well, I want to switch high schools. Now, the high school that he switched to, we lived in that district. It was just that at that point, because of my own stuff and like switching and moving schools, I didn't want to do that to my kids. And as long as they wanted to be where they were at, I just got up early and I drove them to school, where even though they could have taken the bus, it would have been a lot easier. But I wanted to support them because one, I knew that life was going to come with its own challenges and stuff for them. So whatever didn't need to actually be a challenge for them of like starting, school all over, leaving like your friends that you just connected with and that community and that bonding and stuff. It was like mom will just get up early and take you to school every day. And they was at high school, they was sometimes able to figure their way, home and stuff. But if not, I was picking them up, right? So anyhow, so he said he wanted to go to this school. So he goes to that school. Now we cooking. Now he's playing, he's doing, and then he came to me and he said, I need more coaching, like individually as a wide receiver, and not just the coaching that we get in school. So I'm like, okay. So I go to my best friend, and because her and her husband at the time owned a sports training facility, and they trained a lot of athletes and people playing for some of your favorite teams and stuff. So I told her, and she was just like, oh, I know exactly who I need to connect you to. So she ends up connecting me to who ends up being my son's coach. He was a wide receiver trainer. He played in the NFL. I want to say like 7 or 8 years, and I actually had the pleasure of having him on the podcast twice when it was called Seeing with Your Soul. So anyway, so I hired him. I hired someone, an outside trainer, to train my son so he can become a better version of a wide receiver. But in the process of that coach also instilled things of just becoming a good man, right? But this is all my son. I'm just following his lead. I'm following his lead. So then he's also playing in front of hundreds of people. You already know high school football is popping, and then they get to college. But even before that, doing the outside things where he played in the blue gray football thing, where he got to go to Florida and played a bowl, a game on ESPN and on an NFL field. Like, how dope is that, right? And then there's my oldest daughter. When she was 10 and my youngest daughter, she turned 2, we had her party at a gymnastics place. And that was what started her curiosity in flipping and gymnastics and stuff. So then she got on the gymnastics team at school, and a lot of her stuff was self-taught, with flipping and all. And then she started cheering, and then she wanted to do like middle school, high school cheer. She wanted to do more in that. And at the time, my youngest son's dad, I was telling him, and he said, well, why don't you do competitive cheerleading? I'm like, I don't know what that is. And he was like, oh, asking, it was at the time, it was his best friend, she did that for like years. So I told my daughter, I was like, hey, this is what he was saying that you might want to like look into, since you want to do more than what you're just doing there. So she did her own research, and then she got on a competitive team, and they just did their thing. She started off at this one gym, and then ended up at another gym. But she was on multiple teams, and she was responsible for getting that flyer up in the air and catching their ass. So there was a level of trust that had to be built between there. And playing these sports is, you become a team player. So not only are you learning your craft as an individual person, what your part is, what do you bring to the table, and what piece are you in the puzzle to connect and make all of this happen, but then also learning to work with other people and their different personalities and their different strengths, and bringing that puzzle piece together. And then listening to a coach, right, who has, all coaches have different coaching styles. You end up having like your favorite one, right? So you pull something from them, right? And then, but what you're doing is you're learning from someone who has experience, who knows just a little bit more, sometimes a lot more than what you know in that current space. So then you're connecting with there, and then you're going out and you're performing in front of hundreds of people, getting to thousands of people, and then performing on TV. Both of them were on ESPN for their stuff. So I was thinking, I was saying this there, and I was like, wait a minute. They need to remember who the fuck they are. And those skills and all of that they learned in their younger years is to shape you for who you are now. And you can take all of those skills and remind yourself that you have them, and use that as ingredients in this recipe, and really start cooking something up. So I sent them each a message. Well, I sent it in a group thing to them, just like as my TED talk. So, and I was just thinking, I was like, I'm going to do this as a podcast, because what are the skills and the things that you learned in your younger days, whether that was through childhood or 3 or 4 years ago, that you're forgetting because something in your life right now has shooken you, something in your life has gone off track from what you thought it was going to be, or how it's always been, and you don't know what to do with that. So you have to like remind yourself of really who you are, and what have you overcome, what have you experienced. And you can write them all down, like, oh, I got this ingredients, like resilience, team building, being able to actually listen to something that somebody else says, because they have experience. they have experience in that thing. And I'm like, it's so amazing how in our life we sometimes forget about everything that we've been through and just understand that we didn't just go through that just to go through it. Nah, we went through it, and we can look back and we can bring something from that and bring it forward, because all of those versions of you are still inside of you. They're waiting for something to activate it. It's waiting for you to give it permission. Yeah. So I'm saying all of this to say, and sharing this with you, is I want you today, whatever day you're listening to this podcast, to remind yourself of who you are. Grab a piece of paper. I mean, obviously you can voice note it, you could type it in your notes. I love a good pen to paper. It's just something magical about that, right? One, it's not as convenient. It's convenient to pick up your phone and just start talking into it, or write it in the notes and then go about. But for you to be intentional and grab you a piece of paper and say, let's go back a little bit, but this time we're going back so we can pull some things to move forward and create the future that we are seeking and we are desiring, instead of allowing the past to shape our present and to shape our future, meaning like we stay stuck in a loop because you're afraid, or because things didn't go like this or things didn't go like that. So that's what you're looking at. Like, no, fuck all of that. I want you to look back at all the things that you have accomplished. And we're not putting whether it's small or it's big or whatever. Just look at all the things that you have overcome, that you have learned, that you have experienced, that you have completed or didn't complete, right? And sometimes we didn't complete something because once we had the experience of it, we was like, oh, I actually don't want to do this. Doesn't mean that you failed. You just came to the realization that, yes, while I was like, oh, I want to do this, and you experienced that, you was like, oh, that's enough for me. And that's okay. So the thing, you want to write that down too, because you want to remember the feeling. So now you know what it feels like when you're like, I truly don't want to do this anymore, versus the feeling of, this is scary. I don't know how I'm going to do this. What are people are going to think? They're different feelings, right? It's all the same energy, just expressed differently. But it lets you know that. It reminds you of that. So today, we're not even going to put this off, right? The day that you actually listen to this podcast, I want you to be intentional and to make the time. Grab you a piece of paper, get you a pen or a pencil, a crayon or marker, whatever. And I want you to go back as far as you can remember. And if memories start coming up that are sad or angry, or I want you to do something different than what you normally do. Because if you normally just be like, fuck that, and change my mind. No, I want you to actually sit with that thing, that memory that's coming up. Because you are giving this space, there is something in there for you. There is something special in there that you are now looking at through a different lens. And I want you to pull that thing out. And no matter how much you gather together, I want you to look at it and I want you to smile and be like, I did that. I overcame that. I tried that. I experienced that. Like, I don't want that shit again, but I did experience it and it didn't break me. Like, I'm still here. I just need a reminder of who the fuck I am and what I am capable of and what I desire. And then I want you to grind all of those ingredients together, and I want you to make a decision. And I want you to make a decision to move forward in whatever aspect or area of your life that you truly desire, you want to. It could be all of them. And nothing wrong with that. So, just like that was my TED Talk for them, this is my TED Talk for you guys. Until next time, bye guys. Thank you for tuning in to Rebuilding Me, the sacred art of starting again. If this episode spoke to your soul, be sure to subscribe, leave me a review, and most importantly, share it with someone who's on their own journey of remembering who they are. And just know, you're not alone, and you never have to start from scratch. You're starting again, but this time with wisdom. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and trust your rebuild. And if you need help navigating this journey, make sure to visit www.tishamichelleofficial.com and book a sacred reset session.